So many golden nuggets in this episode for you today. I've got the co-founder of GoBundance Women, Kelly Resendez. This conversation delves into overcoming societal and internal constraints that are put on us. And Kelly brings such an empowering lens for us to use to take back so much power in our lives.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where we bridge the worlds of the taboo topic of money with the woo-woo world of manifestation. We're your hosts, Chris and Jenni Schulz.
We're not just about dollars and cents around here. We're all about lifestyle design. You can be working towards financial independence while still living a life you love today.
Get ready for insightful conversations with guests who have embraced the FIRE movement by achieving financial independence and retiring early, as well as entrepreneurs and individuals who've defied the norm and have paved their own way to a life they love.
Together, we'll explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial freedom, and living a purposeful life. And of course, we'll be sharing our own journey to how we carved our path to a seven-figure net worth before hitting the big 4-0. Are you ready to ignite your financial future? Then let's dive right in.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where your journey to financial independence and the life you love begins now.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Kelly.
Hi, Jen. Super excited to be here.
I am so happy to have you on here today. Can you share with me and the listeners a little bit about you and who you are?
Absolutely. So I live in Northern California, and I will just give a smidge of my journey that might be applicable here. So I was born an overachiever. I was definitely a kid that did not lack confidence when I was growing up, and that served me pretty well in my career in mortgage when I initially started out. And then I would say I had my awakening in 2004 when I really recognized that I was just on a trajectory, probably leading to burnout at some point. At that point, I had created a lot of worldly success, but I wasn't feeling the same way internally. And so I was top 1% in the nation when it comes to loan officers in the US. And from everyone else's vantage point, it looked like I had it all. And I honestly didn't. That's taken me on a 20-year journey here in really just creating a more abundant, authentic, and present life for myself. And so I apply that in a couple different ways. Number one, I'm an executive at Goodleap. We're the nation's largest solar financing company, and we do green energy financing. I also am co-owner and founder of GoBundance Women, which is a mastermind that's really targeted towards supporting ambitious female business owners take their life to the next level without sacrificing health or well-being. And we know so many women feel like they're alone. They feel like they're doing things and burning out and not having balance. And that's my life's mission, is to truly just make a change and make leadership more world positive, where people feel fantastic too.
So important. And I resonate with part of your story there because I too was a broker in the mortgage world. And I hit the point where there's just too much red tape. I felt like so constricting in a sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to come from a place of play and fun. And there was so much red tape that I'm like, okay, this isn't the world that I belong in.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been retired from being in that part for about 13 years. We still have a mortgage division here at the company. So I still play in that space a little bit, but for myself, it was really about elevating women, elevating leadership is what I enjoy the most.
So let's talk about that, because abundance, I just love that word. So what does abundance mean to you?
Oh, number one, it's a deep feeling, right? It's that wellspring of joy that you have, gratitude, just the outlook that there's more than enough. And that means there's more than enough resources, there's more than enough time, there's more than enough energy, love, you name it, money, more than enough. And to really step into that space is not the way that we've been wired. It's not the way that our brain operates. And so it really is a journey to reach abundance, given the constraints that we have. A lot of people, my parents were entrepreneurs and real estate investors. I hit the grand prize of parents when it comes to them teaching me basics about money and, unlimited possibilities in my life. That's not most people's story. And so I would say abundance to me is really freedom. It boils down to one word, just that sense of freedom to be whoever you want to be in the world and know that you can attract whatever level of success you desire.
Be whoever you want to be in the world. That's such a simple statement to make, yet people,
Mm.
us, like human beings, struggle with it so much. Why do you think it is such a hang up for us to be who we want to be?
Yeah, well, first of all, our parents start when we're young, right? They start molding and navigating us because they have a belief of what we should be. And then school happens and school starts to tell us who we are. You get put in the lower reading group, you're going to believe the rest of your life you're probably not a great reader. And we can be labeled. And then society comes in and shows us what's important too. And I'm grateful Instagram didn't exist when I was a kid. I was influenced enough by the outside world and a people pleaser enough. If I would have had that as well, my life would be significantly different. But we've got social media, we've got news, we have so many different places that are telling us what success is, what we should be. And that's really what we have to eliminate is there's no should be's. Many of us, like you, it sounds like, have such a creative side to you. And yet we live in a very left brain world that really minimizes that feminine energy. It minimizes the creativity that we all possess because we believe doing is the way to success. And that's part of what we have to look at is just letting go, giving us just taking a breath, taking a moment. Most people start work by the time they're 18 or done with college, and they don't even take a moment to really reflect and ask themselves bigger questions. For myself, I'm grateful. My mom got diagnosed with dementia in 2002, and I had that couple year period where I was asking myself just really deeper questions. Is this really what I want to be doing with my life? Is this really who I am? And that, again, took me on this journey of self-discovery. And most people don't ever take the time to do that. And that's what's really important.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of those big questions that you think anybody that's listening that right now that's like, oh, she's doing it. How can I do it?
I would say the first question is to ask yourself, am I really grateful? Am I really blessed? Or have I told myself a story that, you know what? I have a big house. I should be grateful. I have a family. I should be grateful. I have money in the bank. I should be grateful. That's the story so many people tell themselves, and yet they may not feel that way because they really haven't found that authentic path. So that's one question. The next question that I would really recommend is, am I living up to my full potential? Do I take action towards those ideas? I mean, all of us have just this masterpiece in which our life could be played out. And so many people minimize themselves or try to please other people and do what they expect instead of what they really expect. Whether it's like not having children, maybe that's not what your family wants you to have kids and you don't want to, or changing a career, which I did. Everyone in my industry was like blown away when I made this decision 13 years ago because they had identified me and labeled me as this top producer in the mortgage space. We have to become more than what's expected of us. And that's really asking yourself, am I actualizing all of my creativity? Am I maximizing all of my potential? My guess is probably not. You're leaving some on the table because you're either too exhausted, you don't have enough energy to do those things because you're spending way too much time doing what other people need you to, or you just haven't ever thought about it before.
Hmm. And how do you give yourself permission, in a sense, prioritize yourself and not just be holding yourself to what everybody else is expecting of you?
Yeah, my question back is, how do you not? Like,
I
you've
know.
got one life to live, one. Your parents are going to die one day. Your kids are going to go off and do other things. I love that Mel Robbins adage of nobody's coming. You have to be the hero in your own story. And so if you don't do this, you're going to waste more time. Now, there are tons of people that have waited until they're 50, 60, 70 to do that next best thing that they really wanted to. But what I would just ask your listeners to do is just stop for a minute and say, if not now, when? What's going to be the difference? You can live a life of if onlys, or you can live a life of just absolute maximum abundance, and you get to choose. I firmly believe we're the creator of our own reality. And if you don't start creating it, Everyone else's priorities, everyone else's goals are going to be on your shoulders. And I'm not saying there are a lot of us who our purpose is in supporting others, but it has to start with putting ourselves first. And we know this is not what's happening. Let's talk about the state of women. The majority of women are reporting they're not sleeping. Huge. That's just one thing, right? The majority of women are reporting that they're stressed out or overwhelmed at work. And we wonder why the numbers in leadership and C-suite don't reflect higher numbers. Like, we've got to take responsibility for the things that we need to do. And if you're at a company that you don't believe promotes female leadership, go start a company that does. Let's just all agree, if the world's going to become a better place, we have to be the ones to do it.
I love that. Empowerment and choice. And the world could really pivot.
Oh my gosh, the whole world could pivot if women rose up into our power. I mean, I look at something as simple as the food industry. I could complain all day about what they put into our food. I don't know if you just saw this big case. Monsanto just filed a lawsuit against the government in Mexico because they're trying to stop them from producing some of these things. It's like, why aren't we doing that? Like, why are we allowing some of these things to get into our children and into our schools and into our households when we have more power to be able to start change? Like, I look at Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? And I'm getting off on a tangent, but this is just a way in which we can exude power. In Scandinavian countries, they have to create a different mix because they won't allow the artificial ingredients and dyes to go into it because they've demanded it. We could do the same thing here. Everyone just stops buying it and saying, give us the higher quality. Like, we have so much power that we just don't even recognize. And so we do just one minute choice at a time. Whether that's sharing what's going on. I have a lot of friends in the menopause space right now. And now that I'm 50, I'm definitely, my radar's high on that. And it's like looking at the tiny amount of money that's supporting women in this part versus other types of things. We've got to take a stand for what's going to improve the quality of our life. No one else is going to.
Yeah, that is powerful. My eyes were opened up to that. Just the women's health world in general after the birth of my firstborn and things going sideways physically for me. And I went into my male doctor's office and he's like, well, just learn to live with it.
Oh,
I was like, excuse me? So I had
my
to
goodness.
just from that point on advocate for myself and say, I want a referral here. I want a referral here.
Absolutely. Hormonal imbalances cause so many underlying issues, from anxiety to depression to weight gain to heart palpitations to muscle aches. And yet they're just going to refer you to any of those specialists instead of getting to the root of what's going on. We're all hormonal beings. And if we're not in a good state, we're going to be off. And like looking at brain fog, my girlfriend, Lisa Bill, she was the co-founder of Quest. She was just talking about brain fog in her own life and how people don't recognize these are real things that women are dealing with. And I'm not saying men don't deal with it too, but it can just be that finite amount of balance within your women's health that nobody's telling you about. If a woman is experiencing some of these things, she's not going to go apply for a promotion. She's going to feel like she has imposter syndrome because she's lost a little bit of her focus. She doesn't know what's going on. And the lack of education around what's possibly happening is just so low today. And so kudos to you, Jen, for taking it upon yourself. That's what we have to do. And that's where this abundant journey means, like, I need enough energy so that I can start to choose some of these bigger world positive missions that need support so that we can do something. And I'll tell you, just like at our company at Goodleap, we've got a nonprofit that's called Give Power. And our CEO and the president of Give Power, super, super like interested in helping the water crisis. We have over 2 billion people today that don't have access to clean water. With our World Positive mission, we have over 1 million people that have clean water on a daily basis because of our water desalination plants. And it's like things like that. If companies, if people started to quit being a victim of what's going on, just pick something that's going to make the world a better place. And you will absolutely start to feel more powerful. It could be time, it could be money, it could be starting something, but we just can't sit back because things are not going in the right direction right now.
Yeah, there's truth behind all of that. And that leads me into asking you about your book, because I read the title of your book, Big Voices, right? My immediate question to myself is, does that mean you have a bunch of quiet inner voices, or do you have to make those inner voices louder, or do you have to find a voice that is louder than those inner voices that are shutting you down, telling you to be quiet? What is that book about?
Oh man, all of that rolled into one. When you really study the brain, and that's something that I've been obsessed about for over 10 years now, right? Really just getting into the neuroscience of success and the neuroscience of depression, anxiety, addiction, other things, so that I could serve larger groups of people. What I've found is that we truly do have one big voice. We have our highest, most authentic, conscious self that came here. And then we have all of these different varying degrees of voices and traumas that show up through our subconscious mind, through our behaviors, other things that aren't serving us. And that's truly one of those things that if you start to put a little bit of energy into believing you are not your thoughts and actions. We need to stop shaming ourselves for some of the things that we do that might just be unresolved trauma. We have generational things that have been passed along to us. Like, it's never too late to create a new vision for how you want to feel and treat people in your life and what you want to do. And I believe that's where this abundant journey starts, is with making a decision and then creating a vision for how you want to feel and backfilling it with all of these actionable goals. One of those goals being, hey, I need a really solid thought management strategy because my thoughts are taking me places or are preventing me from taking action towards the things that I really desire. Nobody says, you know what, I don't want to be successful. I want to be unhealthy. I want to be miserable. I want to complain a lot. No one says those things. Yet you look at more than half of society lives that way. Their outlook has been hijacked by their amygdala. It's been hijacked by a faulty brain that no one's ever taught them. It's like somebody dropping off a new computer to someone and saying, figure it out. If you've never used a computer before, you don't know how to use it. So this operating system that I call our brain is something you have to learn and harness and be able to see a lot of the thoughts that it produces. Man, it's going to destroy relationships. It's going to destroy opportunity. It's going to hold you back from your highest potential. So you've got to start separating the big voices from the little voices.
Wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's such an interesting way of looking at it.
I want to just make it abundantly clear right now too, because I know 60% of your listeners have stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice. When you start looking at it as a choice, you start to realize there's just skills no one taught me. It's not because I'm a stressed out person. I just didn't get the skills. And maybe I had parents that modeled this behavior for me. And so I've just always thought this is how life works. Like, we want to wake up blessed. We want to go to sleep blessed. We want to navigate the worst possible situation at work with ease because we deeply know everything's always working out okay for us. So if that's not the path you're on, there's a different way. And it just starts with making a decision.
Interesting. That is an interesting perspective to say, because somebody who's stressed out right now and you're telling them you have a choice, they're probably like, screw you, I have a choice in this, right?
Don't bring that Kelly back on, Jen.
Exactly. Life is doing this to me. So are you saying by you have a choice in the stress, it is the way that your body is reacting to the situation?
Yeah. Your body thinks you're in danger, right? Like, your amygdala is hijacked. Your body thinks that it's in danger. It's producing stress hormones to protect you, get you ready for a fight, or flight, whatever one it is. And so if that's the existence that you're used to, you just don't know there's another way. Now, it's not a light switch. I'm going to make that clear. It's not a life switch. The belief that stress is a choice empowers you to go out and find some of these tools to be able to navigate things. I've got a thought management strategy, a trigger management strategy that you can take a look at in that book, Big Voices. I teach it in GoBundance Women as well. There's The Work by Byron Katie, which is magical in being able to address different situations. There's just different techniques. If you're a parent and this is an area of stress, my friend Dr. Shafali's got amazing work around some of these things. It's just making the decision. I just need to build skills. That's it. I'm not a stressed out person. It's not who I am. It's not my personality. It's something that I just haven't developed the skills around so that I can experience things differently.
Once I hear something that piques my interest, I'm like, well, I can't unlearn that thought now.
Yeah.
I feel like I manage stress pretty well, but I feel like I would have hangups on other things.
There's so many different reasons for it, right? If you look at some of the reasons for stress, I'll tell you right now, for women especially, is that we have suppressed anger. We don't allow ourselves the feeling of anger because we've got to be the good girl. Can't be too emotional. We're either too much or not enough. And we're trying to find this balance. And so we suppress feeling instead of just allowing it to be like, hey, I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling frustrated. That's okay. That's not stress. That's just a feeling. It's going to pass. I'm going to work through it and it's no big deal. If you start and keep just suppressing and suppressing and suppressing, that's going to put you into this environment of stress because your body's going to feel it more and more. And it just until you finally explode. And that's where we want to get away from, is just learning techniques to respond in the moment and actually feel the feels. Part of reducing stress is to feel the feels and not go into avoidance, not overreact, and just find a new strategy to be able to navigate it, because undoubtedly people are not going to do what you want them to do whenever you want them to do it. And so many people get stressed out over that, right? Every one of us has a 5-year-old narcissist inside of us that's everyone should be doing what I want them to. And when they don't meet my preferences, I'm going to get a little stressed out. We just have to see some of these things as like separate from who we are and just know I'm the powerful creator. If I want a different outlook, I need to create one. I didn't get handed a brain that's like, oh, wake up blessed, wake up feeling great. No, it's a danger preventing machine. And so it's going to be assessing danger inappropriately on a regular basis. Now, your brain's going to serve you really well if you go hang out in a dark alley and somebody's coming after you. Like, you're going to get the right amount of adrenaline, the right amount of power, all these other things. We don't need it. That level is happening when a coworker says something to you that doesn't land right, or you've got a situation with your spouse or your partner. So we've got to unwind that a little bit.
Essentially, in this journey of life, you can choose to be a lifelong learner and continue to gain the wisdom and the knowledge that you need throughout the pivot points in your life, or you could choose to turtle and just let all those little quiet voices poke at you until you're just hiding in the corner somewhere.
Absolutely. And how you talk to yourself is everything too. I'm kind to my little voice. I know she's there just to protect me a little bit. And so that's an important part of it. But you definitely need a strategy around how to navigate the abundance of thoughts that we have.
I feel like this conversation could go on for hours if I let it, because I just feel like you have tapped into your big voice and you have this wealth of knowledge. So I guess my final question for you is, what is a big piece of advice you have for someone who's really wanting to lean into that?
Take the first step, write down how you want to feel in every area of your life and look at it every single day. When you put yourself first, my morning ritual, I do 365 days out of the year, no matter what. I'm super faith-based, so I put God first, make sure I read the Bible every day, my devotional. Then I look at my goals, how I want to feel, and then I journal every day. And when you start to put yourself first, you start to see evidence of it as you approach life. I've got to tell my brain, how do I want to show up? I want to be impactful. Hopefully I was impactful today. I'm going to celebrate that. I'm going to think about that. This isn't just going to be a conversation that I'm like, oh, I had it and I move on. I'm going to think about it again. Journal my gratitude for being able to share. We've got to reteach our brain what to focus on. Because if you and I had a heated discussion, I'd be thinking about it all day. I need to learn how to think about some of those other things. I would say the second tip, which we don't have time to really get into today, is to really identify the top way that you sabotage your own joy and success. One of the free things that I have for your listeners is that I've got a 3-part series on overcoming self-sabotage. And so they can go to www.downloadthepod.com, and I give some really strong actionable tips in there. You can also book a call with me just to understand whether or not that's something that GoBundance Women might be able to help you with long-term as well.
Definitely. And where else can the listeners reach out to you and catch more of your wisdom?
You can just head over to kellyresendez.com, just KELLYRESENDEZ.com. Got a lot of my articles, podcasts. You'll find my websites that connect from there, and you'll be able to check out GoBundance Women, which is just a mastermind community that supports women in business and investing and helps them really take their life to the next level.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Hey, wait, before you go, do you want to increase your income by $1,000 a month? If so, check out our free side hustle guide at www.fourleaflifestyle.com/money-ideas. I'll pop it in the show notes for easy access.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation and want to continue your journey to financial empowerment and creating a life you love, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
Come follow us on Instagram at Manifestation and Money Podcast or at 4Leaf Lifestyle for more inspiration and behind-the-scenes content. Remember, your life is yours to live. Your financial freedom journey is as unique as you are. So hop in the driver's seat. It's time to create the life of your dreams.